morning, everyone. My name is Schneider, and this is my colleague Diogo. And we are here to present a part of our research that was developed at the Universidade Federal de Santa Catarina. And the research was carried out through the laboratory of the tutoring educational program, supervised by the Dr. Patricia Biasi Cavalcante and by the Dr. Vera Helena Morubins Ali. And the research began in early 2015 with the purpose of evaluating the emergency units managed by the public health system in the state of Santa Catarina, as you can see in the slide, in southern of Brazil, focusing on the analysis on the units of the city of Florianópolis, where we live in. So, the research process started with a literature review and some exploratory visits to those kind of units. And moreover, we felt the necessity of understanding how the Brazilian health system worked and the current situation of those units.
Well, the Unified Health System, SUS, Sistema Único de Saúde, is a public policy considered as a right to all citizens. And the system is separated in different scales of operation. The health community center, which serve the local neighborhood, the polyclinics, which offer care for the districts, and the hospitals, serving the region. Well, the research would be applied in hospital, where all emergency units are allocated. Units that assist cases of low complexity, medium complexity, and high complexity. And in addition, since the emergency units are inserted within the hospital complex, they are usually the gateway to entire healthcare system. And despite being a great system in theory and having practical positive results, like into the infant mortality and life expectancy, in reality we still encounter numerous problems. For example, the situation of the overcrowded corridors that, like in these two photos, and it is usually a consequence of no compliance with general standards and aggravated by the lack of integration between the parts of this system, like the health system of the public system. Well, the question that we do now is, how could we solve this problem through architectural planning and design?
So, in this case, we focus on the development of an assessment tool for emergency units that could help us on designing those places and trying to reduce those issues and those problems showed in the pictures. And this tool takes into account the existing minimum standardized issues together with the criteria that we consider essential for an optimal environment, as humanization, environmental comfort, and communication. So it takes we have a technical spreadsheet and environmental quality spreadsheet that combined will result into an instrument that will give us an ideal environment in those hospitals. So, the first spreadsheet analyzes each existing environment inside those units, and it is related with the minimum required. So we highlighted one of the most important aspects, the minimum area required, and the user's perception regarding the functioning of the environment. And as you can see, we gave a different rate to different questions. So in the final result, we will have a more balanced score for those questions asked. and those we had two kinds of answers to these questions. Some answers would be yes or no answers, and the other would be partially categorized questions. And we found most appropriate to display the final results in a percentage, in order to draw a comparison between how each environment and the entire unit perform in relation with its ideal functionality. And the second spreadsheet seeks to present an overview of the unit, stating the basic subjective aspects of the design of an ideal environment. And all of these questions we will ask to the users and the people that usually work on this in this environment. So we believe they are immunization, environmental comfort, and communication. The subjective aspect of this spreadsheet comes from the analysis of the user's perception.
Well, from this analysis, it's possible to compare technical and environmental configurations across different healthcare facilities, which allows us to identify the most vulnerable units. As you can see, as per shown by the graph, the unit A would probably require renovation and improvements at an earlier stage than the others. Then the application of the instruments supporting the planning of actions by the public agencies responsible in a short term, a mid and long term. And also the assessments to provide a guideline to remind the architects, the engineers, the designers of the necessary or desirable aspects of the environmental configuration of these sites. And finally, this analytical tool is intended to be freely available online in the form of a template, so that it can be further applied in different regions of the country. And the use of this framework of analysis would then provide the basis for the better understanding of the general quality of healthcare environments on a large scale, like in the country scale. Yeah.
So, in conclusion of the research we did, we figured out that we must incorporate the human side of the perception of the user into this design process. That in Brazil, it's not included. And our aim should to be reduced as much as possible the negative atmosphere that is related to this kind of buildings, such as this hospital environment. And that's it. Thank you so much.
So if you have any questions or comments, I think that we have more than 5 minutes.
I have a question. When you did the assessment, you mentioned you talked with people who are working there. Did you did any assessment for patients? Or
No.
people who not just work there, who use it?
Yeah, actually, most questions were answered by us on technical on the technical analysis, and some were answered by the users that use that on a daily basis, like the staff. We asked for our personal gain, let's put it that way, but we didn't take into account of the actual patients. Because it would be extremely hard to. We found a lot of difficulties related to that analysis, because of
the kind of the unit, like being an emergency unit, is very difficult to keep a relationship, to do an approach with the patients, because as emergency. In an emergency situation, like it's
what
also
about observation? Like if we couldn't do the survey, we might do observations. As
yeah,
research
yeah, the
right?
observation, yeah.
we want to take that in consideration, but technically the emergency unit, it's not for people to remain there. They would go to the intensive treatment. But in Brazil, it happens often that a patient will be in the emergency for a month and a half, something like that. And it's a whole system failure, but we were trying to reduce that in kind of a band-aid to the I'm sorry.
So how much it's hard in Brazil to conduct healthcare research like this and do observation on hospital? Like I talk about the strategies and policies on hospitals. It's hard or not? Because here, like in US, we do IRBs and approvals from the hospital and then from the researcher themselves, and then you can go and start your research. So
yeah, the research process was slowed down by this kind of how can I say that? Acceptance letters that they should give us so we could continue with the research. And it was really hard at the beginning because we have to talk with a lot of different authorities to develop that.
The reason why I'm curious, I'm teaching universal design for my students. They are interior designers and architects. So we talk about different countries all around the world, how we can spread the word about universal design. And Brazil was the last topic of last week. So this is why I'm curious to know more about it. We find it's a little bit hard sometimes to go all these approvals and do whatever they want. Even they are not looking that much for users as a policies, they look more for strategies in general, you know. This is what we found, so this is why I'm curious. I'm glad that you here, so I can.
Yeah, and also the problem was that we had a short time inside the hospitals to do this analysis. The analysis with the spreadsheets and also the observation analysis, because I think that the problem has been, as I said, the emergency units and the situation that everybody is involved in this kind of unit, in this kind of environment. That was a problem, yeah.
But you did a great job, yeah. You have
Yeah.
the results, you have the charts.
Thank you.
Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Were there any questions?
Any more questions?
Just
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, great.